Hello everyone and welcome back to another Movie Monday here on Questrified. My name is Sarahfina.
And my name is Bray.
And today we're going to be tackling the remake of Psycho. So let's get right into it. Released in 1998, directed by Gus Van Sant, and no writer is credited because it's a shot-for-shot, word-for-word remake.
Well, the only credited writer is Joseph Stefano,
who wrote the original. Instead of covering the plot and the story again, as we have done that in the 1960 Psycho, we thought we would discuss the choices, or lack thereof, made by Gus Van Sant. He decided not to update it at all, so you have a 1960s dialogue going on in 1998, and it seems very out of place and off-putting and not right. Hello everyone, this is Sarahfina interjecting into this movie review. Before Bray and I get into the silliness of reviewing this movie, I thought I would make a brief statement into how and why I despise this film as much as I do. There are many movies that are studied by film students in which they analyze every aspect of the film and try to pull out all the small details that add to a much bigger story. One question that everyone should ask themselves about 1998 Psycho is, why did Gus Van Sant do this to such a classic? According to Van Sant himself, we want to watch movies that are made by people that are living with us in our day, rather than a piece of history. I call bullshit on this quote, logic, and reasoning. We want to watch movies that are good, that tell a good story, that keep you entertained. If you are hell-bent on remaking a classic that was already adjudicated as a great piece of cinema, then you best come correct. You must find actors who can handle the heavy burden of those roles and do the actors who have performed them in, air quotes, history, a certain level of justice. Without this care, no one is going to appreciate your efforts, and your arrogance and dismissive attitude will cause your venture into a particular franchise to fail, and with it, you as a filmmaker. Van Sant tried to adopt Alfred Hitchcock's often quoted quib of describing actors as cattle, meaning they were just mindless, easily led, bodies filling a role. However, Van Sant failed to notice the real contributions that the principal players from the original 1960 film made, and how their performances made that movie a success. Van Sant stated, "You can put anybody in the place of the characters. Stage it indoors, outdoors, it's going to do its own thing. Really? Anyone can fulfill any role and the film can be just as successful? I think not, as I know which one I want to watch." By not changing the movie's dialogue and merely stating that you are choosing to only restage the movie is something that only added to Van Sant's ignorance, and this caused the film to be set up to fail. One cannot ignore culture and the impact that it has over how those living in it perceive something that is in stark contrast of what they are comfortable in. The near 40-year gap has an impact on how we view the characters that Van Sant presents to us. Gone is the woman that you mourn for who is murdered in the shower, and the young man you feel sympathy for even though he's a killer. Instead, the real emotion is gone, and you are left with a hollow shell of a story you once knew, littered with unemotional recitations of dialogue that is meaningless in the 90s. Casting unsuitable actors to merely read out lines that have no impact in the time that they are delivered, as opposed to the emotional punch they had in the 60s, is a blemish on the production of this film right from the start. This is one of the main causes of Psycho 1998 to suffer from a lack of success. It is also a slap in the face for anyone who held the original near and dear, who saw it as a great film, who actually gave Psycho 1998 a chance and was only let down. Back to the review. Anne Heche plays Marion Crane and Viggo Mortensen plays Sam Loomis.
Viggo Mortensen is playing like a more southern Sam Loomis than the original.
Pre-Lord of the Rings. So it's a kind of unknown Viggo Mortensen, in a way. I think, yeah. He wasn't a big star back when this came out. Neither was Vince Vaughn, who plays Norman Bates, a very sad choice for such an iconic role. And in this movie, none of these people can act. I don't know if they got better as years went on. I'm not a fan still of any of these people. But yeah, there's no emotion, nothing behind their delivery. It's like they're reading scripts. Vince Vaughn is just god awful in this role. He tries to
like really replicate what Anthony Perkins did.
His idea of playing Norman Bates, his awkwardness, is to just do this stupid giggle after almost everything he says. And that does not come across as awkward. That comes across as stupid and annoying. One of his big monologues during his talk with Marion Crane, it's like he's just reading a script and he's getting faster and faster as he's reading it. You don't get any of the emotion. Nothing from him. It's awful.
Yeah, with the whole, they click their thick tongue.
They cluck their thick tongues and shake their heads and suggest oh so very delicately.
just so very delicately. Anthony Perkins delivers such a serious look on his face, like you can tell he's visibly angry. With Vince Vaughn, not only as he's reading it, he starts to get all fast-paced, like you're just reading a story and you're like, oh, this is more intense, so I better read this faster. But when he gets to that, he does something about the way he, I guess, displays the emotion there. It isn't coming off like serious or angry. It's hard to put my finger on it, how he acts.
It's almost like he's relieved that he got the lines out and doesn't have to re-say them. That's how it appears to me. He's like, oh man, I made it through that without making a mistake.
And I feel like he a little bit overacts towards, I guess, the whole they cluck their thick tongues and suggest so very delicately. How he's like, they cluck their thick tongues and suggest so like
then he goes right back into that laugh.
Yeah, he says this and it's like, I guess, Donald Trump saying this.
They cluck their thick tongues and suggest so very delicately.
Yeah, that's what it's like. It's that type of, like...
overacting.
Yeah, that's what he did with this.
And then, you don't care that Marion Crane gets killed because you hate her in this movie. And Anne Heche is not a good Marion Crane. It sucked. Just kill her. I don't care.
And when it comes to, like, the original, you have Marion puts her hand up and she grabs for the thing and she pulls it down, pulls the shower curtain down, and we watch as her head hits the ground. And this, we just get full display of her all just sprawled out onto the tub and on the floor. They have to do a top-down view of that so you get to see everything.
You should warn someone when you're gonna put butthole on film.
And her grabbing for the thing isn't her just lifting her arm. She's like, takes her arm from out of frame and pulls it into frame only to tear down the curtain. It's a little odd thing in there.
And then you have the famous line, blood, oh God, mother, blood. And then Vince Vaughn can't leave it there. He's got to run out of the house and down the stairs just chanting blood. Blood, 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 blood. Like he's a little engine that could, or... it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, that is a very odd choice from him, because that is a line that is not only just uttered in the original, but it's re-uttered in some of the sequels as well. And it's done well there, where it's not done so well in this.
And then after he finds Marion dead, he shuts all the lights off, like in the original, except then he stands on the porch area and does this pouty face.
Where, as well... when he turns off the lights, now in the original, it's pitch black, it seems. It's the dead of night. In this, they have a giant neon sign that says motel on it that is still illuminating everything. I don't know why he thought turning off the lights was going to save him some, like, views. And not to mention, the sign, I don't even think he shuts off the main base motel sign, which is a very generic design for a sign.
Yes, I still say it's like something out of Branson, Missouri.
And the house is just an appalling change to the house. One of the most iconic locations in the Psycho series is the house. That sort of gothic-looking house or something that overlooks the hotel. In this, it's not even really looking like a mansion.
You know what I don't understand is Gus Van Sant, he changed the amount of money that Marion stole. It went from $40,000 to $400,000. He adjusted for inflation in this movie, yet he could not update the dialogue because no one in 98 spoke like 1960.
And not to mention... James Remar as a police officer, he's wearing like 1960s police officer uniform. They changed the cop car, but not the outfit.
Why? What made him pick and choose what to change and what to keep the same? Because he chose the wrong things to keep the same and the wrong things to update.
And this movie had like a budget of like $60 million or something like that. How much money was used from this? Because $60 million just to redo a movie from 1960.
How much went into Gus Van Sant's pocket?
Yeah, that's about right. And not to mention, Gus Van Sant has to update the Alfred Hitchcock cameo, with Alfred Hitchcock pretty much parading him outside of Marion's workplace. You have Rita Wilson playing the co-worker to Marion Crane.
A snarky Rita Wilson.
Yeah.
Julianne Moore steps in as the role of Lila. And she's all hip and jazzy with her music buying excursions instead of antiques. Just made her about music. William H. Macy, a fabulous actor, lowered himself for this movie, and he plays Arbogast in this.
Well, he did lower himself even further in 2001 with Jurassic Park 3. So he didn't get much better after this.
I've never seen that movie.
you don't want to.
I know him from Boogie Nights and Fargo.
But yeah, and it's all the same thing with him doing the same thing that Arbogast from the original did. They change up his death scene a little bit. It's still the top-down view when Mother comes out and slashes his face, yet he gets more slashes to the face. Also, every death scene in this movie has these weird trippy imagery that comes over, like naked women who pop up and some weird stuff. I don't know why they did that. I noticed that they focused more onto Arbogast's face when he's going down the stairs, unlike in Psycho 3 in the original Psycho, where going down the stairs had this wide shot to show them going down it. They kept it really close to his face. And once he gets down there, we see through his perspective, I guess, as it gets blood red or something. Very questionable there. And not to mention, we get to see Mother's clothing, which isn't this, like, Puritan outfit like it was in the original, where she has gray hair and stuff. Now she has blonde lawn hair that's not tied up in really that much, and this bathrobe that's a little gaudy, really.
It's like Vince Vaughn went down to the wig shop and like, give me the Streetwalker Deluxe, and that's what he walked away with. There's nothing motherly about what the outfit he's wearing to kill his mother. He looks ridiculous in it. This whole movie, there's just so much wrong with this movie. I don't know how anyone can watch this movie and enjoy it. I didn't. I found it as punishment.
Yeah, when you get past about Marion's death or so, that's another thing. It's how they changed up Norman's reaction when Marion is being sunken into the swamp. In the original, you had Anthony Perkins watching, and you can tell he's very nervous, and once it stops sinking, he looks around and is very, very nervous. He's worried someone could find this. And then once it starts to sink down fully, that's when he gets this, like, grin on his face. Like, he knows he got away with it. Vince Vaughn's Norman Bates is just eating candy and just so smug about it. He just is, like, all happy he's getting away with a crime.
Vince Vaughn is a travesty in this role. I hated this movie. I don't ever want to see it again. I want to forget that it exists. I think it was just a cash grab. And I think that John Carpenter was onto something when he told Rob Zombie, who was remaking his Halloween movie, take it and make it your own. That's what you should do when you remake a movie. Make it your own. Gus Van Sant did not make this his own. This was like plagiarism. It's like word for word everything. He put no effort into it. The casting is atrocious. Trying to bring a 1960 movie into 1998 and make it make sense, it does not. It's just lazy. It's disrespectful, and I'm insulted. Can you tell I don't like this movie?
Yeah, I can tell that. This movie, if you planned on watching the Psycho movies, watching the first one, going through the first 4, it's easy. They're all different from one another. Then you get to this one, and you're like, do I really want to rewatch the original Psycho once more when I'd already just seen it like 4 movies prior?
Well, some people want to opt to watch this one because it's in color.
That is just... I'm not a big fan of like black and white, but that was just how they filmed things back in the past. They didn't have color. Especially, it worked in its favor because obviously in 1960 they could have colorized it back then, but they couldn't have done the stuff like the Hershey's chocolate syrup used as like the blood. That is like artistic little details that they were able to get past.
If you choose to watch this movie over the 1960 movie, you're doing yourself a great disservice. You are missing out on so much. You're missing out on what the movie is supposed to be. Because this is just like a cheap version of that movie.
As a poor man's Psycho is pretty much what it is. And
yeah, this should not have been made.
And you're robbing yourself of the whole Anthony Perkins experience. Getting to see his performance. That's something you look forward to. Vince Vaughn doesn't deliver a worthwhile performance. When you see this movie, this is like one of his early movies, I'm shocked that he was able to still pave a career out after this movie.
I believe he was 23 when he did that movie.
Well, he's at least rebounded, I would say, and he's made some approaches back into horror with stuff like Freaky that released last year, which I thought he didn't do too bad in. This is a movie that I think he wants to even forget off from his whole career.
I would want to forget it if I was in it. Be like, we're not going to talk about that movie.
Don't mention it in my presence.
Yeah, don't mention it in my presence. I don't even want to hear about it. And it was everyone makes fun of it because the way it is exactly the same. There's no deviation, no change.
I think the only way to enjoy this movie is you have to be possibly drunk and high, and you have to just be so messed up that you're just laughing at everything, because that's the best way to enjoy this movie.
Unless you make a drinking game out of how many times Vince Vaughn does that laugh, you'll be shit-faced by the end of the movie. Probably not even by the end of the movie, within the first 20 minutes of him being on screen. Anyway, don't watch this movie. Go watch this 1960 version. It's so much better. But that's going to do it for us, and that is the end of the Psycho franchise. Within a couple days, we'll do the ranking of the Psycho movies. Till then, take care of yourselves.
Bye.
Bye.